Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. What are we reviewing this time? Grounded. Grounded is a survival game, basically, crafting survival. It was developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Xbox Game Studios. It came out in early access in July of 2020, and it fully released the September 27th of 2022. Now, if you've been around since the beginning of It Tastes Different, you'll know that we reviewed the Grounded early access way back 2 years ago when it first came out in early access. But now it's fully released, and we're going to go around and see what everybody thinks of the fully released game. You know, they've added all the stuff in there now. You know, at the beginning, there was a lot of stuff missing, and we could see the potential in it. I think we gave it a pretty good early access review at the time. And so now we're going to go around and see what everybody thinks of the full release of the game. So let's start off with Shane. What did you think of Grounded and its full release?
I'm not a survival game guy, never have been, but this one is fun. And I think the reason it is fun for me is it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, except for the cute blonde girl's not there. I like the game. It's fun. It's interesting when the three of us are creating XYZ and here comes some giant ass spider out of the blue, and all you see is us just hauling butt through the yard, trying to get away, and or you build something and you screw up and you lure something big and angry back and it destroys your building. That's fun. It has its quirks though, things that I don't like. Overall, I will say I enjoy the game. It's not my typical type of game, but it's fun, but only fun with friends, in my opinion. It's a friends game for me. When these guys aren't on, I'm not going to play it just because it's no fun unless there's the coordination and the laughter and the goofiness of playing with these two knuckleheads. I don't want to talk about the negatives yet because the game is good enough to where the negatives can come last, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure these two feel even stronger than I do. It has improved greatly from what I remember since the early access started back in July or June 2020. Over 2 years. That's a long time for early access. But the full release is worth it, I think. It ran smooth for the most part. A couple of the issues we had during the early access, I don't think we ran into at all, at least when we were playing, the three of us. So I enjoy it. I really do. I wish you could do a little bit more with the characters. That'd be my one complaint I'll throw out at the beginning. The characters just seem kind of bleh. Seems like you should be able to do stuff with them. But you can equip really cool different types of armors and things like that to help you out, help you survive. So, Pat, what do you think, bud? Am I on the money for you or am I shooting shy?
I like the game. Me and Nick have played quite a bit of this game throughout the last couple of years. We'll hop in every now and then. The game has added one feature that I just love now. The shared save game is pretty awesome because that means that we can hop in and play when the others aren't on, and we don't have to wait for Nick to get in so he can load his save world so we can play, or me or somebody else. We just share the save, which I think is the best thing they've done to help this game, in my opinion, because we try to progress the story without everybody on, but man, we're building like crazy and just going out and doing stuff and looking for things and stuff like that. So, it's always been a fun game, and they've changed enough from early access to now to where I feel like I'm still learning stuff because they have changed quite a bit of stuff, the way that it functions from early access. Some things that didn't work so well to things that work really well together. And then, there's always some bugs, but even though it just came out early access, there's still some odd bugs here and there. But that's to be understood when you have a giant building game and you can pretty much destroy or chop down anything you want to make room for whatever you want and build whatever you want. So you can have a lot of assets in a very small area, which is what we tend to have, So It's pretty fun. I mean, if you like survival crafting games, you'll like this. I mean, there's the aspect of survival where you need to eat, you need to drink, you got health to worry about, you got stamina to worry about, and then, building shelter, building a place to craft and keep all your crap, and then go explore and do all that. So the game is fun. It's on the Xbox and PC, and from what I understand, the shared world works no matter where you are. So if you play on PC, you can share your world with someone on Xbox and all that, and they can kind of access it. The shared world, like I said, is probably the best thing, because if Nick's not on, I can load up his shared world, and he gets on and he sees me on, he can hop in there with me, and like I said, so any one of us could get in and be like, well, I want to add some more to the base, so I'm going to get in here and do that while everybody's offline. And before long, you've got this massive sprawling structure and stuff like that, so it's quite fun. I don't know what else to say besides that it's fun. If you like crafting and you like building, and survival, then you'll like this. And then you can even dumb down the difficulty if you go from the medium level. I think survival and thirst, there may even be a mode where you can cut off the survival and thirst, the creative mode and stuff like that. So, there's something for everybody, right? I think medium mode is difficult enough, especially with the spiders, because the spiders are jerk offs in this game, and that's what they're supposed to be. They're really hard to defeat, and they poison and all that good stuff. So, but Nick, what are your initial thoughts on this one, man? What do you think of Grounded, and now that it's fully released?
I think that I think this game is really good. Like you said, we've been playing it since early access, off and on. We just sometimes feel like it and kind of hop in there. We played, I know for me and you, we both like survival crafting games, and we've played a lot of them. And I would say this is probably one of the better survival crafting games, right? There are a handful, maybe, that there's a lot that we played that we'll play it like for a couple days or a weekend or something like that, and we just kind of lose interest and don't come back to it, right? Grounded is one of those that we always tend to come back to. They always add new and exciting things. The Sandbox is a lot of fun. The way the Obsidian has crafted an awesome backyard sandbox for you to play in, right? And that's one thing about survival crafting type of games, is you have to have a good environment for your players to be able to have fun in, right? It's not just about the building, it's about the environment that they're in, right? If the environment is boring, then the player's going to lose interest, regardless if you could build cool stuff or not. And they've crafted this awesome backyard. There's hidden trinkets everywhere, juice boxes, tennis balls, rakes, a head to an action figure. There's tunnels that lead into like ant tunnels, and there's spider tunnels, and there's bird, at night there's a crow that shows up, and it's really cool. It's like gigantic because it's you're tiny and it's huge sitting up there in the sky. Fireflies, which was not in early access, so that's definitely something they recently, not too long ago, added. You have the pond, which they added during early access, which is really cool because you got fish in there that can eat you and stuff like that. So it's a really cool environment with a lot of variety and a lot of different types of bugs and creatures that we normally see in our backyards and don't really care about. Maybe spiders you do, but everything else maybe not. But when you're like this big, everything's scary, right? And that's the thing. That's a cool thing about this game. Besides it being survival crafting, it's not really put out there as being a scary or kind of horror-ish type game, but it can be. There are several times when I remember one night we were playing and a wolf spider just shambled, like going like a damn freight train out of the grass towards me and scared the living crap out of me. I didn't know. It was nighttime. Their eyes turned red, and all I heard was this, and I was like, what the hell? And the wolf spider right behind me scared the crap out of me. So like this game can be scary, especially when you have those types of creatures like roaming around at night. I mean, they're there during the day, but the wolf spiders seem to be more prevalent during the nighttime. But yeah, I mean, the crafting's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to craft just big fortresses like you can do in most crafting games and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's just something about the game that really, for me, resonates with me for survival crafting. Like, kind of like in the same sense of something like The Forest or something like that. Like The Forest is a really good survival crafting game. Like it's a lot of fun. They built this really, so The Forest is the same as in this case with Grounded. They built this really nice environment for you to explore and build in. And the way that they allow you to build works. Everything kind of works, hand in hand with each other. Everything makes sense. This goes to that, that goes to this, and Grounded and games like that and the Forest and stuff like that make that part really easy and simplified for you to figure things out. And even if something seems complex, it's really not. You kind of quickly figure out how X and Z go together. And then you can start building things. The one thing, I think a pitfall for a lot of survival crafting games out there is making things a little too complicated. To where the player needs like 20 different items and they have to do X, Y, and Z and build these different things just to build this one item. And then the person's just like, I'm done. I've lost interest, right? But this game and games like it that we tend to come back to are ones that make that they know how to craft that world. And I think Obsidian has done a really great job here in crafting that world. They've made a survival horror game. I love Obsidian as a studio. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to pull off a survival crafting game, but because they don't always pull off bangers, right? But I'd say this one they've successfully pulled off. I think has turned out pretty well for them.
Obsidian's always made great worlds. The things in the world sometimes aren't the best, but you're right. I mean, you do get that whole I'm tiny feeling, and the insects around are really neatly done. The red eyes, when they get ticked off, even a ladybug, man, it will destroy you if you take it off. And that's one of the things I really like. It's, you can run across a baseball that looks, 10 stories high, or, 5 stories high, and just everything's scaled nicely. And it's just a neat little world. I mean, if you get up high enough, you can, peer across the top of the grass and see a house way out there, or a big tree, and then you can see the pond. I mean, the pond looks massive, but if you were in the real world, I mean, it looked like a generic little koi pond at the local Chinese restaurant. I mean, it's just a really well done world. But when we first played the word I can't think of, when it first released.
Early access.
God, words are hard. The very first problem we ran into, we started building in a spot, and we had like 50, 100 blades of grass set out to use for building. And the game glitched so bad and ran so bad. We had to literally leave that area. And I don't think we even went back to that area because it just slowed everything down so bad. We ran around it because there was just so much little stuff on the ground, the game couldn't handle it. But now we never seem to run into any of that, which is a big step up. So that was one of my favorite things.
Well, early on, you couldn't destroy items, and Nick and I built a grass base, and then decided that we were going to move over to the rock. And what we did was we chopped out one of the corners of the base, and the rest of the base collapsed and turned into fiber fragments. And it was like, I don't know, there was thousands of fiber fragments all over the ground. So it would just lag. So there's thousands of assets. And eventually they added able to delete. So I think we kind of finally cleaned it up in that map. Originally, we would just go over and delete some when we're bored. And eventually we cleaned the area up and moved on. Yeah.
They just did such a wonderful job. And, I don't think we really ran into any breaking stuff or anything like that. I think the game is hard though, just on regular, but I'm not a survival guy, but to me, it was pretty hard. And I don't like having to think about food and water. That's probably my biggest problem with this. So, but that's a me thing. These games ain't for everybody, but if you play with the right people, like, these two schmucks, you have such a great time, especially when, one of them is running for their life. But I would like to see them fix when you die, your backpack is left where you're at. And you can, correct me if I'm wrong, but I swore when I died like a second time, I had 2 backpacks on screen.
Stays. Your backpacks stay.
Yeah, but there should be a way to say, you know what, just abandon it, because I never found that option. I don't know if it was timed, but because it was just odd having it on the screen.
Yeah.
It was just not where I died down in Nick, when we fell down that one area.
You could go down there now. Toxic. You just got to build a gas mask.
Well, I don't want to build a gas mask. I just want to abandon it and go on with my life.
Well, I mean, just like every survival crafting game, this game also has your creative modes, and there's a lot of different options to turn on and off. You can turn off hunger and thirst, so your guy never gets thirsty, never gets hungry. You can turn off like not losing your backpack when you die, so all your inventory just stays with you. You can also turn it on where you can make, if you're afraid of spiders, you can turn the spiders down to they look like potatoes with eyeballs is what they look like if you want to turn them down at that. Because the spiders can be pretty scary, especially if you're afraid of spiders. If you're afraid of tiny spiders, they are gigantic in this game because you are tiny, and so they do look horrifying. But so there's a lot of accessibility options in the game, a lot of things you can turn off and on. We are playing just on the normal medium difficulty, but there is an easier difficulty than that, and then there's harder difficulties than that. But of course they also give you the option of going in, and it's just adjusting sliders to on and offs to kind of customize the game how you want to play it. That might kill off some of your achievements depending on if achievements are kind of tied to that stuff, which seemed to be the case with most survival crafting games, but we just usually just play them on normal. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think Obsidian did a great job with this. This is a good survival crafting game, and if you like survival crafting games, if survival crafting games are your type of game to play, this is definitely worth it. If you have Game Pass, great, you can go pick it up on Xbox or pick it up on PC. If you don't, is it worth a buy? I think yes, it is totally worth purchasing. I don't know how much the game is outside of, because we all have Game Pass, but I would say it's probably like 30 or 40 bucks, I would imagine. And regardless if it's 30 or $40, 40. So for $40, I would say go for it. It's definitely worth it. You're going to have a lot of time and a lot of fun, especially if you're looking for a good survival crafting game to play with your friends. And maybe you've gone through the forest and all those other ones, and you're looking for something new. And especially like Shane said, if you like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, this is basically that. We always thought maybe there should be a video game based off of that. Well, Obsidian made it, right? And that's pretty much what this is. I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely a buy for me as well at $40. We've put enough time in it that it's definitely worth it. And there's a variety. There's a wide variety. I mean, we played a couple weekends now, and we still barely eked out of tier 1 stuff. I mean, we're still building and moving things around, and we haven't even made it back out to the pond, or we haven't gone into we haven't even decided that we're going to venture into the hazardous fog area yet, or anything like that. So we've only done like the first portion, and we're just like, we're messing around, building stuff, kiting spiders into the base, just being, just doing crappy stuff like that, just exploring. So there's a lot to do in this game. For $40, there's definitely a lot to do.
Yeah, and that's the best part of it, is just hanging and having fun and doing crap. And there's nothing serious. I mean, if you die, you don't feel like you've wasted your life for the game. It's just you've died and you go back. It's just a fun, relaxing game. But yeah, if you have arachnophobia, then spiders get pretty big on your screen. So pucker your butt.
I think the nightmare mode, or whatever they call that mode, is worse than the spiders. They just look all weird and blobby and weird. So
yeah. But it's even for me, who's not into survival games like this, it's well worth the $40. And I'm honestly surprised it's only $40. I thought this would be a $60 game because there is quite a bit of content in it. So
yeah. But I definitely think it's worth it. The game does have its bugs. It does have bugs in it. There are things that they still need to fix. It just came out early access, but these are things they can patch. They have something going on with the dewdrops. In order to get water for your character, you have dewdrops on blades of grass. And sometimes the dewdrops are just floating in the sky and you can't do anything with them. And you can't touch them. And what sucks is there was a lot of grass around our base, and when we cleared out that grass, started building our base, those dewdrops still appear, even though there is no grass to appear on, and they just stick around in our base, and you can't do anything about them. You can't drink them or move them around or anything like that. It has some other little bugs and things like that in there, but they're not game breaking, right? We just ignore the dewdrops, and they disappear after a while. And any other bugs that we encounter, they're not game breaking. They're annoying and stuff that Obsidian can fix. with some patches and stuff like that. But it's not like this is something that stops the fun. It's just a bug, right? Something
yeah,
they
very
can get
few
rid of.
bugs, right? I mean, there are some bugs. I've had some visual bugs where I'm stuck in a view or something that's really bad, but we found that if you put the camera toggle on your key mapping, you can toggle in and out, it'll fix it. Random stuff like that. They got some AI pathing issues to fix and things like that, which they will as time goes on and they get more word of it. But I'm enjoying it, and I will continue to keep playing it and enjoy it as time permits. But I'm not done yet. We've barely got our base started, and there's some stuff that we unlocked in the original one that I'm still trying to figure out how we unlocked it to get it in this one. So.
All right, Shane, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No. If you got Game Pass, download it. If you don't got Game Pass, go pick it up. It's worth it.
Yep, I agree. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know down in the comments below. Have you tried out Grounded? Maybe during early access, and maybe thinking about picking up the full release or playing the full release. We definitely think it's worth it, but let us know what you thought, or if you played the full release, what do you think of Grounded and how it compares to other survival crafting games out there? Just let us know down in the comments below what you think. If you've watched this for this long, you might as well subscribe if you're not already. You can just hit that subscribe button while I'm talking here. That way you're subscribed to the channel. Also, make sure you hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.